I set my first step into high school in September 2010 with some very preconceived ideas of exactly what was to come. They were expectations that came from my devoted dedication to cliché-ridden high school TV adaptations, young adult novels, and the mildly threatening warnings from my middle school teachers. You can't wear baseball caps in high school, they told us, whipping them off of our heads. Gum isn't allowed in high school, they warned us, snatching it from our grasps. Don't bring your backpacks to class, they insisted, sending us back to our lockers. High school, amazingly, was far from their ominous depictions. 4 years in this one building, every day, in and out, has completely convinced me as much. This place is nothing like Gossip Girl or Skins, and thank God nothing like Glee. There's drama, sure, but in the end you are free to do whatever you want. You can wear whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want, you can be whoever you want. That's the thing about high school. You're freer than you've ever been in your entire life. Granted, that entire life of yours hasn't been that long so far, but still, it's a whole lot of power. You can text in class if you want. You can chew gum and wear hats and basically break every rule they emphatically enforced in middle school. It's all up to you. If you want to learn, then learn you will. And if you decide to, you can learn a lot. I don't mean learn as in knowing the difference between a dot and cross product in math, or understanding iambic pentameter in poetry, or finding the velocity vector in physics, or knowing which elements in chemistry can explode when dropped in a puddle of water. You'll have to know all that sooner or later, but unless you really want to study it, you'll probably forget about it once you're done with the tests. The things you're really here to learn don't have anything to do with academics. They're about life. You learn to help yourself. As I said before, you're free in high school. There are no more single-file lines snaking down the hallway, led by the line leader and reared by the caboose who turns off the classroom lights once everyone's gone. You are your own car now, rolling down your tracks and trying desperately not to lose control. You learn to make your own decisions. You learn that studying doesn't suck as much as failing does. And so you'll learn to go find your teacher after school and swallow your pride and ask, "Can you help me with this?" Before high school, I had never studied seriously for anything in my entire life. The things that my teachers taught me emptied into my brain with such ease that people would eye my test scores and tell me, "Wow, Michelle, you're so smart." If they didn't know how to solve something, they would just say, "Oh, just ask Michelle, she's Asian." The realm of 11th grade AP physics was a nightmare to me. It was a world I never imagined existed, one where nothing made sense, no matter how hard I tried. I would get my quizzes back and trace the red pen numbers with my fingertips, trying to face the reality of them. For the first time, the tens place was not a 9 or even an 8, but a 7 or a 6. For the first time, my parents could not even scold me. The inadequacy was so sudden and so great that no words were necessary for me to understand their disappointment. And for the first time, I found that my own disappointment transcended theirs. But you learn to get back up. You learn to change. A week later, I took that failed test and I burned it in the sink. I put on a pair of rubber gloves and took a lighter and let it burn. The flames swallowed the red numbers and I never saw them again. The Michelle who earned 60s and 70s wasn't the Michelle I wanted to be, and therefore I left her behind and became the one I did. To do that, you have to renew the passions you had when you were 5, to unearth the dreams you had when your aunt and uncle asked you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you yelled, "A fireman," with blazing stars in your eyes that couldn't be extinguished by the most cynical of parents. Maybe you don't want to be a fireman anymore, and that's fine. It's not what you wanted to be when you were 5 that matters. It's only the 5-year-old enthusiasm that you had. Take that back and plunge forward. Use your enthusiasm as a weapon and wield it with pride. That enthusiasm is the greatest thing you have. Try to find everything interesting. You can really enjoy life that way. Fake your enthusiasm and the enthusiasm becomes real, and best of all, it's contagious. You might think you're being cool when you're in the middle of class and you say, God, this is bullshit. Why do I have to learn this crap? I don't need this information. And it's true. You don't. But think about it this way. You have it. It's your lucky privilege. I know it's hard to think of ourselves as lucky sometimes, especially when we're crying into our Doritos at 1 a.m. in the middle of midterm week. But think about the long run. Think about how nice it is to have that extra information. It's nice to be able to say, yeah, I know all about our fifth president and covalent bonds and solving an equation. You'd be surprised how much you see when you're enthusiastic about everything. You start to wonder, and then you start to think, and then you start to enjoy. When your teacher tells you there's an entire set of genes called homeobox genes that is 100% identical for every animal of every species, whales and people and tax accountants and leeches have this exact same set of genes. And that means every animal of every species shares a common ancestor. We all came from one being millions of years ago. Instead of saying, who cares, you say, dang, that's cool, because it is if you say it is. Louis C.K. once said, I'm bored is a useless thing to say. You live in a great, vast, big world that you've seen none percent of. Even the inside of your own mind is endless. It goes on forever, inwardly. The fact that you're alive is amazing, so you don't get to say, I'm bored. Humans don't survive. It's just not the way we function. We're physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally incapable of just drifting through time like bacteria or amoeba or lobsters. We have to advance, to progress, to become ever better. We are to be greater than our last generation and the generation before that and before that. Humans don't just survive, we live. And I guess that's my advice to you. Don't survive, live. Make as many memories as you can and never stop creating them. I think maybe that's the meaning of life, to make as many memories as you can. This is your life. It's short, you know, but you're going to do so much in that time. One day you'll go home every night to someone you love from the bottom of your heart. A man, a woman, a domestic cat that seems to understand every one of your emotions with uncanny precision. You'll watch sad movies and you'll eat great food, and you'll have the memories of your entire life behind you. People like to say that these high school years are the best years of your life, but they're not. Don't limit yourself that way. Don't limit your life that way. There are so many places you can go from here, to Mars if you want to be an astronaut, to the molecules if you want to be a chemist, to people's hearts if you want to be a writer. These aren't the best years of your life. It gets better, because you get better. I'm 18 in a few months. I'm the legendary high school senior. I marched through freshman year, plodded through sophomore, and trudged through junior year. And now I have emerged victorious. I've learned everything you're about to learn, starting now, and I've learned it myself. You and I are exponentially better than you were in 9th grade, and you can only go further from here. Here's the last and most important thing I want to tell you. What you're going to learn, the experiences you're about to have, is nothing that anyone can teach you. I can make lists for you, 10 things not to do in high school, 4 surefire ways to ace your chemistry test, 7 clubs you have to join for a fulfilling high school career. I can try to tell you all sorts of things like that, things you've already heard before in a desperate attempt to prevent you from making the same mistakes that everyone else has. But in the end, it's not necessary. You'll learn by yourselves. You'll make mistakes, you'll get up, and press on to greater mistakes, and that's fine. In fact, that's awesome, and I'm excited for you. Good luck.